Hey everybody, welcome to this video. So in this one I just want to show you that sometimes you need to process different articulations from the same library differently. So this is a track by Charles Stacey. Let me just play a bit of it so you can get an idea on how it sounds like. So you get an idea, lots of complex orchestration, some really loud passages, some softer passages. The thing is, the EQ that I have overall on the strings just didn't work everywhere. So just quickly, let me show you the routing. So the strings here, it's all the separate articulations, as you can see. So bass leg, bass stack, bass pick, etc. And they're all routed to sub-basses. So I have my main basses here, basses, cello, viola, V1, V2. And these have their main EQ and padding. So that's actually I don't have on the basses because it's at the individual level. So I have cello, viola, V1, that's the main EQs for these instruments. And then I have my overall processing on the strings bus. So these 5 buses end up sending to the strings bus. And I want this processing to affect all the strings because it's from the same library. And this processing sounds good on all the strings. So I have my main EQ kind of stuff, tape, overall string reverb. So that's my main string reverb that's affecting all the articulations the same way. But you know, these settings just don't work with all of the piece. And this is, you might be in the situation when you have a complex piece with lots of varied dynamics. You may just find that the EQ doesn't work everywhere if it's too different. So here we have a situation where we have an intro that's really kind of quiet and intimate, and some really busy parts that need to cut through. So the staccatos at the end need to cut through. But the kind of beginning part just sounded too airy and almost synthy by default. So I needed to kind of counter that synthiness, especially in the violin one and the high strings. So as you can see here, I just have some more EQ on the individual patch, individual legato. It's just too harsh. It's fine, but I wanted a more like almost Sardino feel, a more muted feel, you know? Because everything else is lush. Like all the strings are playing quite quietly, but the violin somehow was really cutting through. See? Meow. It's like meh. Okay, and for this part as well. You know, here the violin needs to sell lush, it's all kind of soft. But I do have other articulations like measured tremolos here that need all the air. So of course these don't have EQs here, for example. This one has even more highs to go through. So as you can see, don't be afraid to do some individual processing on the individual patches, because not all articulations can take the same settings. Sometimes they do if the track is like, let's say you only have like short strings pretty much at the same dynamic. But for long kind of complex pieces, you might find like sometimes it just doesn't work and you need to tweak individual patches to sound a certain way. I mean, here I want to show you, I actually have an EQ automation. So this EQ is just like more high cut, but it's only for this beginning part, you know, of the violin one. Just to sound extra lush. And then it's not there here for the rest of the track. To sound a little bit more forward, you know. And then, no, yeah, this one is on all the time though. So as you can see, it's not like a massive EQ, but it's a substantial difference. One more thing I wanted to show you is that on some patches, especially the long legato patches, I have more reverb. So all of these, of course, are going through the strings bus that is sending to the main reverb, but certain patches just needed more reverb. And the thing is, when you have a library that's already wet, you can't just drown all the short notes into tons of reverb, because the shorts tend to be overly muddy when you drown them too much. And these ones have already plenty of natural ambience. Like plenty. So I just wouldn't add more. But the thing is, especially for the intro, or you know, just for the long strings, they could be a bit lusher, like really back of the hole kind of feel. So on top of the main strings reverb, I have more reverb. So let's see here. So -7 here. But as you can see, I'm using a different send than the main reverb, which is VSS3. This one is VSS3 Extra. It's simply a copy of the main VSS3 strings reverb. The reason I have a separate one here is just to avoid phasing issues, because there is different EQs on this individual patch compared to the bus. If I send from the individual track and I send from the bus at the same time, I could have some phase issues, because now I have the signal that's like a slightly different phase because there is different EQs on them, all arriving in the same bus, so they could phase and, you know, create a weird sound. So just to be on the safe side, I'm using a separate reverb here. But yeah, the idea is just to have more wet signal. I mean, as you can see, it's just lusher, a bit more distant. No, it's just little details like that. Especially for high strings, you tend to need a bit more reverb, high string leads, because highs tend to be a bit drier, especially in holes. Like the highs don't get as reverb as the lows. So sometimes the high stuff can feel a little bit dry. So I like to compensate by putting a bit more reverb than the low stuff. But actually I have it for the violin too here as well. And even for the cello, so just the lyrical phrases. Anyway. So guys, I hope you found this video interesting, just to show you that if you feel like it's not sounding right, don't hesitate to just mess with the individual patches, and you can go more in detail to get the sound that you want. So I hope it was interesting, guys, and I will see you later then. Bye bye!